Hi, it's Chef J.D. Pendleton. As you can see, I've got the canner rocking back here with meatloaf, but because I still had only 2 jars left to can, I didn't want to fill up an empty canner. This stew meat on sale, this roast, it's just a chuck roast, and it needs to be canned up as well. The date on it's today, so we're going to go ahead and open it up. We're going to cube it. We're going to put it in the pan and sear it in a little bit of olive oil or vegetable oil, even grapeseed oil, whatever your preference is. And we're just going to sear it on both sides. That locks in the flavor. And then we're going to make ourselves a fluid to go over this with a little bit of beef base, some water, or you can use your home canned beef broth. I'm out of that right now, so it looks like I'm going to be making me some more. And a few other ingredients, and we'll be right back, and I'll show you how to put this together. Okay, we're going to start with some bottled water. I'm using tap water because our water's hard, and I want to keep my glasses clear, and I want to use nice sterile water. I'm going to use this osmosis purified water. Now, I've added in here 2.5 bottles of water. You can use wine for this, or you can use juice. And here I just have pomegranate blueberry juice. You can use red grape juice or whatever you like. I'm just going to add a couple splashes of it in here, just like you would wine, for some nice fruity flavor. Again, we don't drink, so I had to use that amount. I'm going to use a heaping tablespoon of brown sugar. And then here's 2 heaping tablespoons of brown sugar. I'm going to use, about 1/4 tablespoon of molasses. No, I think it needs a little more molasses. I really like that flavor. That's how my grandmother used to make it. Here we have Worcester sauce. I'm going to add a few dashes of that. About 3 teaspoons maybe. Here we've added about 2 level tablespoons of beef base or beef bouillon, and I just vacuum pack mine. I make mine and vacuum pack it. You can buy this in bulk if you like at Walmart. You can hear my dog barking. She never barks. Okay, here we're just going to add about 1/4 of an onion and a clove of chopped garlic. Got to stir. We're going to add a few dashes of red pepper flakes. Just a little bit of spice there. I pre-ground my black pepper, so I'm going to add about 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. And here I've got some thyme here from my garden. About a teaspoon. We're just going to rub that in really well. That'll add some nice savory flavor to it. And just a pinch of oregano. Just a pinch. We're adding a room addition onto the house, so that's what the dog's barking at. We have a Siberian Husky. Most of you have probably seen her on my other videos, and she never barks. But I've got the patio doors open today. I guess I could close them. Okay. Now we're going to put this on the stove, and we're going to simmer this for 20 minutes. Now I'm just going to go ahead and taste this. You always want to keep some clean spoons with you. And I'm going to taste this and see what I think. Okay, it needs something. I think it needs some more Worcester sauce. And I think it's got enough sugar in it. It needs a little bit more of a beefy taste, I think. I think I'll add a little bit more fruit juice. And I think it needs a little bit more of a bouillon flavor. Add a little more of that. Got beef taste in there. There we go. Let's give that a try. That's much better. And remember, flavors get stronger once they've been cooked and once they've sat in the canning jar in storage for a little while. Now, what I didn't add was I didn't add the salt, and I think that's one of the things that it's missing. We're going to try this again with a clean spoon. I'm just going to add a teaspoon of salt. I'm going to add just a little bit more than that. Give that a stir. See where we're at with this. Just the flavor. Make it how you like it. Again, you can use a real Burgundy wine if you like. Okay, that's exactly what it needed. That's perfect right there. I'm happy with that. So we're going to take this over the stove and we're going to simmer this for 20 minutes. Remember, don't put any kind of thickeners in this because you can't put the flour in there for when you're canning. So this is just going to be a nice broth to go over our meat instead of using straight up water. Just on the back burner. This is when I'm glad I have 8 burners. Okay, meanwhile that's heating. We're going to take a little bit of olive oil, grapeseed oil, or vegetable oil, or sunflower oil, whatever you choose. Put it in the bottom of your pan. We're going to turn this up fairly high and get this pretty hot. Now, olive oil doesn't take as much heat to get that hot. So you do not have to sear this on that high of a temperature if you're using olive oil. Now while that's heating up, we're just going to take and we're going to cut off a little bit of the fat off our meat and we're going to cube this and we'll be right back. Okay, we're just simmering the sauce for about 20 minutes. Get those onions and garlic nice and cooked in there. Get that flavor nice and melded together. And here we're just going to sear the beef on both sides. You don't have to cook it all the way through. Matter of fact, you can raw pack this. You don't have to, you can omit this step. But I really like the way the beef tastes when you sear it on both sides. I think that's very important. Okay, so when I've got this browned, I will be right back. I need a wide mouth canner. Okay, so we've got everything sterilized in our water. We got our lid soaking here in some hot water. Matter of fact, I'm gonna put that back on the heat. We've got our broth, it's nice and hot. And our beef tips that are all ready to go. Now we're just on that's not big enough, we're just going to scoop it in. Now I'm going to do quart jars. You can pack these pretty tight. You want to give yourself about 1 inch of headroom. I'm just going to split this between the 2 jars. I had this roast that I got on sale. And you saw me just braise it. And I got just enough here to do 2 quart jars. And I'm going to divide this evenly among the quart jars. So I don't have more of one than the other. Even, I would say. And I'm just going to do my left-handed pour on this. Right there we go. There we go. We're going to leave ourselves some inch head space. That's perfect. There we go. Let's see how that looks. We can fill that a little fuller here. The meat will shrink down a little bit. We're going to get our bubbles out. And because this isn't packed too tight, in fact, I can probably put one of these in here. This feels like it's got less in it. There we go. Get all the bubbles out. And then we can add a little bit more of our broth. There we go. And we're going to get our hot rings here. Get a couple of cloth napkins and we're just going to clean our rims. So hot. But it smells so good. There we go. I was a little messy when because I didn't use this little Give it a couple of little taps there, get the rest of the air bubbles out. Take our hot lids, take our finger, there we go. Feels good and clean, no chips. Remember, finger tight. Center that on. Put on a ring, finger tight, that's it. Then we're just going to carry this over and we're going to put this in the canner as well. Now I'm just going to put these into the canner. There we go. And we're just going to kind of center them up. Now I've got the 2 meatloaves in here that we had that didn't fit in the last canning load. And then of course we have these beautiful beef tips. Ooh, this is going to be so yummy. And remember, I process my 1.5 pint, wide mouth 1.5 pint jars as long as I process my quart jars. So now we're just going to put the top on this and we're going to do the same thing that we did with the hamburger. We're going to let the steam vent for 10 minutes. Then when that's done timing, then we're going to put on the weight. It's 10-pound weight. And we're going to process this for 90 minutes. That's an hour and a half. And we will see you back here then. Our 10 minutes are up. And you can see that our nipple is up. We're just going to drop on our 10-pound weight. I'm going to keep the heat up there, medium high, or whatever, you get used to your stove and what your stove needs to be done. Remember, do not open this lid no matter what you do. Do not open this lid. Now this nipple actually comes up to actually lock the lid. But, and I try to keep pets and children away when I'm canning. Unless they're old enough to help, they shouldn't be in here. If they're underfoot, it's really dangerous. You see what happened the other day with my red raspberry jam. It did explode and it did go everywhere. I got really lucky and I didn't get hardly any on me. And I didn't get burned. I got real lucky. It's because I carry them out and way away from me when I do it. But I got real lucky. So, alright, so we're just going to wait for this to start rocking. It should take about 5 minutes. And when it does, we're going to set our clock for an hour and a half. Now it's already 10:30 at night. This is my second or third load going through. I am getting tired. But we're going to keep going. We've got time for one more load before we have to go to bed and hit the hay. So we'll see you back here in 5 minutes. Okay, the rocker on the canner is starting to go for it here. And we're going to set our timer for 90 minutes or an hour and a half. Oops. There we go. And we're going to stand here for a few minutes and we're just going to keep adjusting the heat down until we get a nice gentle rock. Now remember, if this stops rocking, or if your gauge drops under 10 pounds, you have to start the time over again. So you want to stand here and make sure that does not happen. Now I'm not saying you got to stand here for an hour and a half, but I'm saying for the first 5-10 minutes, you kind of want to hang around a little bit. So anyway, we'll see you back here in 90 minutes. Okay, our time is up. We're going to turn off the heat, but we are not going to touch this, and we're not going to touch the nipple, the stuff either, or that one. So let it calm down for just a minute. And we're going to remove it from the heat. Remember to pick it up on a glass top as best you can. Now we're just going to bring this down from pressure naturally. It's going to take about 35 to 45 minutes. And then when this nipple drops, we can take off the weight and we can remove the meat from the inside. Or if you like, you can let it rest in there an extra 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, our nipple here has dropped and we've removed the weight. And we're just going to slide this open like this. And when we open this, we want to open this away from us. That helps block that steam from hitting me in the face. Oh, that's hot. There we go. See how that steam kind of comes up behind there like that? You can hear it sizzling. So what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of leave it in here for just a few minutes. I'm going to give it about 5-10 minutes in here. Just to be on the safe side, make sure that none of these break since the air conditioner's running. Because we don't want to sit this where we have a big temperature difference between the heat here and the cold on the counter. So I'm just going to kind of let this come to temperature and kind of stay in its little steamy environment for about 5-10 minutes. And this right here is our Burgundy beef tips. Add a little flour to that, a little cornstarch, and to make it gluten-free. And you've got some great beef and gravy right here. Okay? Now what I'm doing now is I'm just washing the jars. Whenever you can with meat, you want to be sure to wash the jars really well. So what I've got here is I've just got some hot soapy water. Kind of get it just a little wet here. Make sure it's hot water, but you don't want to get it so hot that you get the gum on this wet, okay? You want to work with this quickly because you don't want to loosen this lid up. So what I do is I just take my trusty little scrub wand here and I just, especially right up in here, this prevents any critters, bugs, things like that from, you know, it doesn't attract those nasty little things, mice and things in our canning closet. I don't have a problem with mice now, but I could if I didn't keep things clean. And remember, you want hot water to get the grease off, but you don't want to keep it under the hot water for very long. That's what makes these little wands really nice. And be careful because this can get very, very, very slippery. And again, I just kind of hit underneath that rim. Be careful not to drop the jar. Take your time. There we go. And I'm just going to continue to do this. And then I'm going to label this today's date. And I'll label it on the front with the label of what it is. And then I'm going to store this away in a dark, cool place. Now, when I mean dark, cool, you should be no higher than 70 degrees year-round. That's our idea of a cool place. No lower than 45 to 50. This just helps the integrity of the food to last longer. Now you're going to ask me, what's the shelf life for meat, like the meatloaf that I just did? The shelf life on this is anywhere from 2 to 10 years. Food, they say, will start deteriorating after about a year. But I noticed my meatloafs and my meats and things like this, they'll last about 2 to 5 years. 13 years after my grandma died, we were eating her canned goods and everything was just fine. So, sure, the color might have faded a little bit, but she kept things in a cellar in a dark, cool place, and they lasted. So, as far as food prep goes, or an emergency, or just buy meat at a good price now, so then that way you've got meat, you know, a year from now at, you know, last year's prices. That's not a bad thing. We watched a movie last night on the Dust Bowl, and that was actually very interesting in how people were starving. One minute they were, you know, sowing wheat and doing really good, and the next minute, you know, they were barely getting by. And that's not what we want for ourselves. That's not what we want for our families. We want to know that we, even if we, my faucet, we got calcium in our water here. My faucet's dripping. I gotta get the plumber here. So see, I saved some money here, so now I can afford a plumber. But I actually do save a lot of money doing this. You know, initially, you know, you spend money on the jars and the lid and things. But to be honest, you know, that's no big deal. And I just really enjoy doing this. And I think you will too. Sure, it takes some effort. Sure, it takes about 4 hours of canning. If you can once or twice a week, you need to put 4 to 8 hours in it a week. Now, I try to can something every other day. So, now what we're going to do is we're just going to take a clean rag and we're just going to kind of pat it dry. Okay, and you can put a little vinegar in this water if you wanted to. Get that nice and clean. Okay, and we're just gonna let these dry, and then we're gonna take a permanent marker and we're gonna label these. Label them the date. Here are some beef tips in Burgundy wine, or in Burgundy sauce. I didn't use the wine. You're supposed to maybe use a Burgundy wine, but I didn't. We just used a juice, a fruit juice. The pomegranate blueberry juice, I think, is what I had on hand. But normally I'd use like a white grape juice or something. So, and these right here turned out really well. I'm really happy with these. So, but anyway, this is Chef Jeannie Pendleton for my meatloaf and for my beef tips. Enjoy.